Hello champions, welcome to the session. In today's session, we are going to discuss a few input text-based questions which are from your psychology domain. Ajir sessionot, ami kisuman input text-based questions discuss korim, which is related jitu tumalukor psychology domain opra ahibo. Now students, here what happens, these kind of questions are frequently asked in your exam, and minimum at the least you will have 3 questions which will be based in this kind of input text. Yate ki hoise tumalukor kisuman input diyai thakibo, he inputor basis ot tumi questions to jitu question diya thakibo, it's similar to comprehension. Yate reading tumi tumaluke thorough hobo lagibo passage tur logot ba jikhini information diya ase, the information will be very short and precise, and on the basis of that information tumaluke question to answer koribo lagibo. Here what happens, it seems to be very simple and it's like very scoring for your exam. But what happens if you are not clear with your concepts, then you tend to make mistakes. You tend to make silly mistakes while opting for the correct option. Yes? So, yate ki hoy tumalukor concepts bu clear thakibo lagibo. One more thing which I just want to add within the session is that enekwa dhonor questions bur jibur input text based hoy, enekwa dhonor questions ot you can relate yourself, because these kind of situations are actually faced by our own self and by the people of our surrounding. We can see these kind of situations in and around us, in our families, among our relatives and friends. So you try to relate, and in that way these kind of questions are really interesting. And so I tell you that this session is going to be an interesting session, and it will definitely help you in relation to your CUET undergraduate exam. One more thing I just want to add in the beginning of this session is that we in BPS are providing the students such extensive research work based on the MCQs and based on the question pattern of the CUET undergraduate level, that you people will be really benefited with if you opt for the options, opt for the study materials that we are providing here. Okay, with this we will start our session. Let's start with the session. Number 1. Question number 1 here is that here we are given a situation, a scenario, and on the basis of that short and precise scenario, we are going to answer the questions. Let's start. Go through the question minutely, and you should concentrate on the question when you are reading the question. Don't divert yourself while reading the question. Okay? Tilak meets Tanmay every day for a definite period to help Tanmay overcome some of his maladaptive behavior. Now, what is the relation between them? Here the question is, you have to find out the relation between Tilak and Tanmay. Okay? Now what happens, Tanmay is having some kind of maladaptive behavior. That means he is having some kind of problems, some kind of issues, some issues relating to his adaptation, to his adapting with the environment or the surrounding. So at times what happens, he is at some kind of scarce situations where he is not able to communicate with his surrounding. So in order to assist him and to prompt him in difficult situations, Tilak is always there for a definite period of time to help Tanmay. So how we will identify this kind of relationship between Tilak and Tanmay? Tilak is helping Tanmay to overcome some of his maladaptive behavior. You can understand, you can relate this situation. So we will go with the options. Number 1. Is it teacher-student alliance? Can we mention here teacher-student? No, because teacher-student is something where you are teaching learning. The process of teaching learning is there. Number 2, that is therapeutic alliance. Therapeutic alliance means where a psychologist is always there to assist you. We are very near to our option. Number 3, C, personal alliance. Personal alliance is something which is related with PA, like personal assistant. And the last one is daily alliance. Daily alliance means a person who is helping you in your day-to-day activities. So here you can find out that the correct option is number B, and that is therapeutic alliance. So here we can just relate that something is related with the patient and the psychologist, and we term the relationship as the therapeutic alliance. Okay, champions, is it clear, the concept? Let's move on to the next question. Number 2, in a college excursion trip, be clear with the question, a few boys from the group teased some passers-by. When the mentor asked the boys, they blamed 2 meek boys from the group who were actually not involved in the incident. What is this phenomena termed as? Now see, here what happens, a group of boys actually committed a crime. This is a crime, though minor, it is a crime, teasing. Okay, you can't tease any people. Teasing is actually the phenomena, the circumstance where a group of people or a single person tend to tease anyone. So whenever you get the option to tease, you tease someone. So here what happens, the group from the college went for an excursion to a new place, and there they teased some of the passers-by who were just moving by the road. So when they teased, and when the leader or the team leader came to know about the incident, he asked the entire group who is actually involved in the incident. And at that time, this group of people who were actually responsible for the entire incident gave the blame upon 2 meek boys. 2 meek boys, meek means the silent and the resilient boy, 2 boys. So these few group of boys blamed these 2 meek boys of the incident of teasing. So the question is, what is the phenomena termed here? When you are blaming someone, so you are actually subsidizing your problem to someone else who is not actually involved in the entire incident or the circumstances. So what we term it as, we will go with the options. Number A, stereotypical. Stereotypical means actually the stereotypes, the prejudice which are actually prevalent, and they are forming some kind of attitudes that we termed, we will go into that, schemas, prototype, then stereotype. These three are actually related. The odd one is scapegoating, and actually the answer scapegoating means blaming someone. So we get our answer that The correct answer, to blame someone of an incident or anything, to blame someone, to blame, you have done the fault and you are blaming someone else. So that is called scapegoating. Yes, you can be clear here. Next we will move on to question number 3. Here a Sikh community helped flood victims of the northeastern region during the monsoons. Now here we are in the onset of monsoons, we are in the beginning, we are the advent of the monsoons in northeastern region, and the problem is recurring. The problem of flood is recurring in our region. So this Sikh community, actually there is a Sikh community who help people who are facing or who have already faced some kind of natural disaster or calamity. So this Sikh community were here last year, and maybe they will be coming here this year also to help people, flood victims, flood affected areas. And these people, what we term them, the Sikh community who are actually involved in some kind of social work, what we term them, here the options are, question number 3 that went. So in question number 3, we have the options of prototype. Now prototype is actually some category based schemas. I have already said prototype, schemas, prototype, then stereotype. So prototype is wrong here, it's not applicable. Pro-social, yes, we can get, it is very near to our option, to our correct answer. Next we have proactive. Proactive means whenever we get the term, the prefix pro, we just add something. Okay. So Pro Max, the options which is your, applicable in your cell phones. Pro Max, proactive, pro-social, these 3 are something related with some addition, with some additional benefits. So here the question is to help, a community is helping another community in some kind of natural disaster, and because it is something related with society, so we will term it as pro-social. So the correct option is number B, and the answer is pro-social. Is it clear for you, students? Yes. Hoping that you are clear with the concepts. Next we have question number 4. In a community cultural function, a go as you like competition was held. So go as you like means, you know, it's like wearing or to be in disguise. So this is a competition which was held in a cultural function where all the prizes, including even the consolations, were awarded only to the children of the affluent people. Affluent means the rich or influential people. So the board who was actually involved in giving the prizes, the prize distribution ceremony, they were partial in giving the prizes only to the children who belonged to the affluent class. So here what happened is that what is the attitude that is mentioned here? Is it prejudice? Is it biased? Is it discrimination or stereotypical? Now the first one is prejudice. Prejudice is actually the set of beliefs. Set of beliefs which actually make a person to be biased. Now biased are situations, specific situations where we can as a whole categorize a person's attitude that he is biased, he is partial to some extent. But when it is carried out, this biasness is carried out to a larger extent, we term it as discrimination. That means prejudice is actually giving force or giving effect to discrimination. And stereotypical, I have already said, it is related with some kind of set of attitudes, set of category based attitudes. So this is out of the box stereotypical, and we have to opt for the answer from A, B and C. So here what you need to say that prejudice is set of beliefs, biased is a set of category based attitudes, and discrimination is the actual execution of prejudice. And because here the people who are involved in prize distribution, they thought that it is well or it is better to discriminate the other students and give the prizes only to a set of people or only to a set of children. So that is carried out because of some kind of prejudice, and and be sure that the option here, the correct option will be discrimination. Yes? Is it clear what are the basics? I am going through the options and I am trying to clear all your doubts about these terminologies. Okay? Next, question number 5. Girls should remain indoors. What is the attitude expressed here? Now, in the previous question, we have already said prejudice, bias, discrimination, bias, stereotypical. The options here are same, but here what happens, we know that here girls, the set of beliefs here, sorry, the set of beliefs here, what it is written, this is some kind of a cliche or some kind of a provocation that girls should remain indoors. Now what is this? This is actually a set of beliefs. And we have already mentioned that set of beliefs is what? It is actually prejudice. Okay? The correct option, we won't go to the other options because we have already clicked the option, correct option, we have clicked it, that is prejudice. Okay? Next, question number 6. In a mob lynching case, now these kind of mob lynching cases are recurrent in our society or day-to-day news scenes. Whenever you go through the newspaper or to the news readings, the videos, we get a lot of cases which are related with mob lynching. Now what is mob lynching? Mob lynching is something related to killing someone or beating someone to that extent, a mob beating or giving some kind of punishment to a person in such intensity that he or she may succumb to the injuries or he may die. So that is a case of mob lynching. Now mob lynching, yate ki hoise amar dhori lua kunuba ejon surok ami dhora pelalu, tetia ki hoy gutei raije ahi surtuk esat die ba ekub mare. Tenekua dhonor jodi gutei raije ekub mariboloi loy, he manujon jibito hoi thakibone, teo nijor pran heruabo. To tenekua dhonor cases burok ami ki buli identify koru? Mob lynching. Okay? Now here what happens, the people felt that their act of mob lynching yate approve hoi goise. Je gutei groupe marise moyo ekub maru. Here there is no one who will question why we are beating or why we are giving such kind of punishment to the person. So that is not asked because everyone is validating or approving the scene, the scenario of beating a person because he committed a crime. So here everyone has taken law and order in their own hands. So that is not justifiable according to our constitution. So here let's move on to the question is that lynching was validated because the entire group approved of it. So they approved mob lynching, the entire group, and what we call this effect. This effect is not group polarization. Group polarization means the extreme level of set of beliefs by a group of people. There is a group of people, so when they are going to the extreme level to form some kind of decision, that we term it as group polarization. Next is the bandwagon effect. Bandwagon effect is the effect of this group. Okay, This is a group where everyone is adding their emotions and trying to qualify to a single group leader or the team leader. Whoever is the team leader, he has given some kind of decision and everyone is approving to it. So when we are approving to the team leader or to the entire group, we term it as the bandwagon effect. Okay. Next we have social loafing. The option social loafing is actually to be in disguise. So this is not an option which will apply with this question, because social loafing is somewhere you are in a group, you are not involved in any work, but you are in the group and so you are availing the benefits of the entire group. That is called social loafing. Next we have proximity. Proximity is actually related with nearness. Who is near? So option C and D is not valid. You will get confused with these two, group polarization and bandwagon effect. Here both these options are confusing, but be clear, when something is being approved, we will term it as bandwagon effect, where people are not questioning what will happen, what will be the consequences of that kind of a decision. So that we term it as the bandwagon effect. Okay, is it clear? Moving on to the next question, number 7. Reet is an adolescent who had a conflict with his best friend. Reet, now adolescent, what do you understand by the age, the adolescent's age? The age group from 11 to, we can say, 17. So that is the period when 17 to 18. So that is the period where people or students are having a lot of aggressive anger, frustration, and that all is actually expressed by them without knowing the consequences. So they are not matured enough in this stage, in adolescent stage. So out of dash, he deleted his friend's contact number. Fill the blank. So out of what? Out of anger. Now see, anger is the basis on which you are aggressive. But here, because it is executed and so he has deleted the number, it will be frustration. Conflict and anger are similar, and aggression and frustration are similar. So here these two options are similar. Here these two options are similar. But we have to find our correct answer. So that will be frustration, because here, going with the sentence, you can't put here aggression, because aggression is the consequence, is the cause actually. It is actually not consequence, it is the cause for frustration. So the option is frustration. Is it clear? Moving on to the next question, number 8. One day, while interacting with his patient, Anis noticed a bruise mark on the wrist of the patient. What is this skill called? Now, when you get skills, actually the skills, so what happens? These skills are actually possessed by psychologists. So psychologists need to have these kind of skills. So here what happened, Anis is a psychologist and he noticed a minor bruise mark in the wrist portion of his patient. So what we term it, because he noticed a very minor mark on the wrist, so it will be related with, is it natural? No. Natural is something which is related to your biological. Next we have observation. Yes, to some extent he had noticed, and because noticed is something related with observation. Next, specific. It is not specific, because specific skills are the skills which is related with some specific set of norms. And then the personal skill is something which is very individual and related to your biological natural skills. So here the correct option we will go for is the observation skills, which is related with notice. Okay. You can mark here that a simple thing, a simple mark is very important, and the psychologist need to go through those kind of minor marks even. Okay. Next, question number 9. A psychologist provides a plan to interview and counsel his patient. Lini was provided with similar services. What is this service called? Now here a psychologist actually provides some kind of plan and interview. So a plan to interview and counsel. So what we term it, this kind of services, what we term it, is it interview? No, interview is actually within that service. Counseling, here there will be double L, the spelling is a bit wrong. Next is testing. Testing is like to question someone. And next is communication. Communication is the basis. On the basis of communication, we build up a relation between the patient and the psychologist. But where the question is, what is the services called? So the services to have a definite interview, a plan for a definite interview is actually termed as counseling. Okay, there are some do's and don'ts under counseling sector which we have already discussed in our study materials provided in BPS, where counseling, the tips given under counseling is actually it is been misconceived or it is been misunderstood by people. So in your 12th standard NCERT psychological domain book, you get to know about those kind of misunderstandings among common people about counseling. We have also discussed that the same thing in an elaborate manner in our study materials. So once you get into BPS, you come to know about the intricate and crucial points related to your psychological domain. Okay. Moving on to the last question for today's session is question number 10. Meera, after meeting with a severe accident, tries to identify herself with a new identity every time she meets someone. Now see, you have to be clear with the information given, because here Meera met with a severe accident, and after the accident, what happened? Whenever she meets someone new, she tries to express herself with a new identity. Now because she has failed to recall all her memory, so each person whom she meets is actually a stranger and a new person for her. And so every time she meets a new person after the accident, she actually tries to give her new identity, because she is totally at a loss about her prior identity, about her previous identity. So here what happens, the question is, she is unable to recall. So what is this specific disorder mentioned here? So here the options are dissociative disorder, dissociative amnesia, dissociative fugue, dissociative identity disorder. So these three are the options which comes under dissociative disorder. Now what is dissociative disorder? Dissociative disorder is something which is related with the loss of your identity, or which is related to some kind of illusions where something is really virtual or not real, we can say. So the disorders or the identity crisis which a person used to face is encapsulated under the bigger name of dissociative disorder. And under that we have dissociative amnesia, where a person forgets about a definite fixed period of time. So he or she can't recall about his previous memory, and when he or she can't recall about a fixed duration of time or memory, we term it as dissociative amnesia. So that is only for a fragment. But this fragment, when it is carried out and a person is trying to add a new identity, we term it as amnesia fugue or dissociative amnesia fugue or dissociative fugue. So whenever you get the term fugue, you try to relate it with some kind of new identity. And the last option, we will go with the last option also, where it is dissociative identity disorder. Here what happens, a person tries to identify himself with multiple identity. Okay, can you see that? Here the options are multiple identities. So people try to give himself a lot of identities. So that is dissociative identity disorder. But here you can understand that new identity means fugue, and so the correct option is dissociative fugue. Okay. With this, I hope that you have understood all the concepts which our team has tried to explain you. So thank you for being with me throughout the session and trying to communicate with me in helping you. So hope you all join our BPS and like, share and subscribe BPS to that extent that we can help people, students and champions like you from the nook and corner of our northeastern region. Okay. Thank you for being with us. With this, we wind up the session. Thank you for being with us.